الصراط أشدكم حبا لآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة وعبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم. سادتي يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. Revive your gatherings with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second salawat in the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. The third in the honor of Bibi Fatima alayha salam bi'a'la aswatikum. قال الله في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا تقولوا لما تصف ألسنتكم الكذب هذا حلال وهذا حرام لتفتروا على الله الكذب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Smork, the simple model of rational crime, meaning that every single human being calculates and counts the possibilities of him getting caught in a prohibited act. We as human beings, do we calculate and count the possibilities of every action that we make? Do we count the possibilities of how much we benefit and how much we lose in every action? A man is caught at the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen in a robbery. The Muslims capture him and they bring him to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdalus salatu wassalam. They tell him, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, O the Prince of Believers, this man is a robber." Amir al-Mu'mineen without hesitation says, "Bring the sword, let's cut his hand." The man cries, he says, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, it's the first time that I commit this act." Amir al-Mu'mineen responds, "Kadhibt wallah, you lied. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not reveal a criminal until he has done the crime 40 times. And this was your 40th time. And this is why we will have to do and give you the punishment." He said, "Sadaqta ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. You are trustworthy, O Amir al-Mu'mineen. This was my 40th time." This man calculated the possibilities of himself getting caught in this action. What are the outcomes? I've done it once, I didn't get caught. I did it twice, I didn't get caught. But the profits were great. I robbed this person's house. He had a very big safe, his wife's gold, his documents, his cash, at least $20,000. He does it twice, 3 times, 4 times. until you get caught. This man did not think rationally. He did not think rationally. But we as human beings, we come to count every way possible. Do we think like the average mugger, the average robber? Every single one of us in a moment of need, even if you go to the gas station, it comes to your mind that how much is in the register? How much is in the register? If I do rob this grocery shop, you will probably have $700 in the cash register. And what are the possibilities of me getting caught? And if I do caught, what's the punishment? You think it over and think it over. You see if it's rational for you to commit the crime or to walk away. Sometimes you work in a company, you deliver the checks, the paychecks. You're a construction company, you have to give a paycheck to other companies at the end of the month. You have a delivery boy. You have a delivery boy. You're giving him a check of $100,000. Don't think that this young man or this delivery person does not think that if I take this paycheck, I could run away to a different state, start a new life, start a new business. And then he thinks of the possibilities. Will I get caught? Will the law come after me? Will my boss come hunting me down for that $100,000? He sits and thinks of everything possible, calculates and counts the possibilities of getting caught or succeeding in his mission. Now, if this were true, we as humans in every single civilization, we live towards this theory or we live this theory, what are the outcomes? What are the outcomes of the smorg theory? You see, every single place that you go to, they have surveillance cameras. You go to the bank, there's surveillance cameras. There's a security guard. You go to the pharmacy, there's a security guard. You go to the grocery store, there's a security guard. Every red light, there's a camera. Every bank you go to, there are people guarding the place. The ATM machine has a camera. At your workplace, your boss is watching you like a hawk. Now, today, because of technology, some bosses, they go to vacation, but they have this application that they could watch every single thing that his employees are doing. Every cubicle, there's a camera. He's watching you. More than that, the boss thinks to himself that there's a possibility of every single employee that I have either to be trustworthy or to be untrustworthy. So I have to have a safe. I have to make sure all the credit cards, there's a code on them, that I'm addressed every time a credit card for the company is used. Even the employees, they don't trust each other. If he wants to go to the restroom, he'll put his wallet inside his desk, lock the desk, and then go to the restroom and use the restroom. A father can't trust his son. A son can't trust his father. Family members can't trust each other. How many instances that we know that family members were the cause of the destruction of companies amongst families? His own cousin is the one destroying him behind his back. His own uncle is the one that takes over the company and throws his nephew out. How many times have we heard this in our community? I know of a man, he used to own 3 hotels close to the city of Peterborough in the United Kingdom. He says, for 15 years, me and the uncle of my wife grew an empire of 3 hotels, every single hotel at least 15 stories. A tourist attraction, a resort. The contracts that we had, they were placed under joint names. So it was under the family name, my wife's name, her uncle's name. The contract was placed for 10 years. But he says, I trusted him so much. The trust became blind. I wouldn't even think about it. I've had dinner with this guy, lunch with this guy. I go to his house. He comes to my house. We've been up and down every hill. He says, one day I go to my hotel and there's police officers waiting for me. As soon as I step onto the property, they come and tell me we're going to have to put you in handcuffs if you don't leave. I ask why. They say, your uncle has moved your name. He has moved everything into his name, and he no longer wants you on this property. If you come onto this property, we're going to have to arrest you. He calls me, and he says, Sayyid, this man has calculated everything so wisely. He has lawyers to tell him everything in and out. He's placed everything under control. He's counted every way possible. He's flawless. I can't even get him in trouble anymore. The only thing that I could do is leave the city and leave everything behind. And that's exactly what he did. He had to leave the city. Even simple things like a vacuum, the uncle would call and say, the vacuum belongs to the company, you have to bring it back. Calculated every single thing possible. Sometimes we as human beings were no different than the average mugger, than the average robber. But the difference is you're wearing a blue collar, he's wearing a white collar, or the opposite. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Gary Becker, an economist from the University of Chicago, says that this theory, the smork theory, is very similar to how we as human beings were honest and dishonest with each other. We count the possibilities of us getting caught when we are dishonest or when we need to be honest. Sometimes we sit with a person, his counts are very off. You sit with him, he's 35 years old, he's telling you World War stories. That he was part of this army and they took over Germany and he shot with a pistol and a whole helicopter fell down. We have such people amongst us. Even the accountability of them being honest or dishonest, it's based on calculations. You see this when you fill up your taxes. How honest are we when we fill up our taxes? If there is a car expense, it's on your own car that you drive. It doesn't even belong to the company. You're right, this is a company expense. Put that on the company expenses. Lower the taxes. My wife's car, let's make it a company vehicle as well. My student's tuition for his school, let's put that as a tax return to a non-profit organization. Are we always honest in everything that we do? A person, he goes to an art museum. He says, when I went to this art museum, all the people that worked in this art museum were retired people who had degrees in art. This museum would auction very expensive paintings. They would go for $50,000, $60,000. And I was friends with the owner. At the end of the year, one year, he told me that I have lost $200,000. Where's my money going? I told him, why don't you put someone within the family to work with these guys to see and to investigate what's going on. So the next year, to be precautious, he places one of his cousins to work amongst them. He says every day, Bob, 70 years old, takes $200 and puts them in his pocket. Braxton, another old man, makes an auction, puts $300 in his pocket. And this comes to another theory called the fudge factory theory. When our cognitive reflexes come in, saying that if you do something small, it won't hurt people. This guy is already making $3 million. He's making $3 million. If I take $200 a day, it's nothing. It's nothing. It won't hurt him. The amount of dishonesty, if it's small, it won't hurt anyone. If I cheat someone, it won't hurt anyone. And you see this amongst people when they lie. He goes fishing, he comes back, he actually caught 2 fishes, but he increases by nature 25%. So he'll come to you and he says, yeah, I caught this fish. It was so huge. Biggest I've ever had. And the fish he probably caught was 3 to 4 inches long. But this is naturally what we do. If you're a football fan or a soccer fan, over the years, definitely you have seen a goal when the soccer player scores with his hand. He acts like he headed it, but he hits it with his hand. The referee doesn't see it. It's a goal, and they win the game. How many times have we seen this? It's a small thing. To him, I scored, we won, the referee didn't see it, oh well. The most cheated game is golf. That's why there are most referees in the game of golf. Every single person that's standing on the sideline acts as a referee. You hit the ball, it goes into the bushes, you go into the bushes, there's no one looking around, you throw it back outside. Not everyone is the tiger of golf. They have to cheat. So when we are dishonest, what does Islam say? Does Islam come and accept these theories? Does Islam accept these theories, the fudge factory, the smork theory? Or Islam has something else? It doesn't accept these theories. Now, for us to explain and to elaborate a bit more, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A joke is told. They say a child, he's suspended. He's suspended for taking a pencil without the permission of his classmates. So his teacher, she sends him home. She calls his father and she tells him, your son, he did something very wrong today. He stole the pencil of his classmate. The father comes, pulls his son's ear, and he tells him, how could you do such a thing? Don't you know the company I work for, they give us free pencils. They're not for free. He takes as many pencils as he can. He brings them home, and he tells him, you should have just told me. I would have given you a pencil. He doesn't see the dishonesty in his own action, but just because his son got in trouble because he calculated wrong, he's a criminal or he did something wrong. But the father or parents sometimes, the elders don't see the dishonesty that they place in front of their children. A child is like a sponge. He picks up everything you do. So when you are a father that's telling his son, I'll give you a pencil from my company, of course your son is going to take a pencil from his classmate. In your workplace, you clock in and you go start eating. You're supposed to start working, but just because your boss doesn't know that you're not working, it's fine. It's just minimum wage. Or it's just $10 extra. He's not going to lose anything. You're a dentist. You have these new tools. Your patient doesn't even need them. But let's work them anyways. Why? Because your insurance is going to give you a bigger paycheck. You're a pharmacist. There are 2 pills. One is for $10, one's for $100. Both of them will cure this patient. Let's give them the $100 pill. I'll get more money from the insurance company, from the doctor that prescribed it. And it goes on and on and on. You don't see the dishonesty when you are committing it because Society doesn't see it to be a mistake, but if a man comes and breaks into your window and through your windshield and takes your GPS system, he's a criminal. The lawyer puts extra clauses, extra fines in the agreement of things that have no value. It's okay. Society sees it to be okay. Because small amounts of dishonesty, they're fine. If you're a lawyer, that's fine. If you're a banker, that's fine. Just the poor guy that doesn't have money and has to go steal something, he's a criminal. Let's throw him behind bars. Does Islam accept these theories? Do we, as Muslims, accept these theories? Or we don't? Before we get into the theory that Islam tells us about, I want to clarify one thing. There is one thing that we Muslims, we do not realize. When we make small sins, it's exactly the same way. Because no one's getting hurt, or it's because it's so small, that's okay. That's okay. Allah will forgive me. Or it's just a small sin. I'm not drinking, but $5 from this guy, it's okay. $5 from this guy, it's also okay. If I lie to this person, it's okay. But what does Islam say? Islam says, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam says, أَشَدُّ الذُّنُوبِ مَا أُسْتُخِفَّ بِهِ صَاحِبِهِ. The worst of sins is a sin that the person who commits it takes it lightly. Don't take your sins lightly. When you're dishonest, a simple fact of dishonesty, don't take it lightly. If society sees it to be okay, Islam does not see it to be okay. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa gathers the Muslims in the middle of the desert. He tells his companions, every single one of you, go bring me a stick. So they go out for 2-3 hours. They come bring twigs, sticks. It becomes a whole pile. It becomes a hill. He tells them, do you know why I told you to go bring these sticks? They say, no, O Rasulullah. Tell us. You know better than us. He says, I wanted you to understand what small sins accumulate to. A small lie every day, but after 10 years, it's become a pile. You shave every day, you might think it's something, it's not a sin, it's okay, it's such a small sin. Well, Allah isn't good. But after 25 years, 50 years, 30 years, 60 years, you go with a burden the size of Mount Uhud. The Prophet, the Imam says, don't take it lightly. أَشَدُّ الذُّنُوبِ مَا أُسْتُخِفَّ بِهِ. Don't take things lightly. When you take them lightly, they accumulate, they grow. It's just a bite. It's just $5. He won't know. His company won't fail. My insurance doesn't care. But Islam says, no, you have to be honest. The Prophet teaches us to be honest. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam says, لا تستقلوا قليل الذنوب فإن قليل الذنوب يجتمع حتى يكون كثيرا. Don't think that small sins won't pile up. No, they come together and then they will break your back. They will come together and form a mountain of sins and they will break your back. قوله عليه السلام اتقوا المعاصي في الخلوات فإن الشاهد الحاكم. Beware of the sins that you do when no one is watching you. Just like the smoke theory that says everything should be under surveillance, the Prophet and the Imam says that even the small sins behind the curtains, the one who will judge you on the day of judgment, he's the one that's seeing every single one of your actions. Don't take it lightly. In this world, you might get away for cheating. You might get away. You made $20,000 by cheating, good for you. You got away from the law, good for you. Al-Shahid huwa al-Hakim in that life. The one seeing you, the one that has placed His surveillance everywhere. He's the one that will judge you on the day of judgment. So you see these theories that we mentioned, they're both in our hadiths. The Imam says, don't take things lightly like the fudge factory. They pile up. Simple dishonesty is truly dishonesty. It makes you a bad person. It makes you a sinner, makes you a criminal. And the Prophet says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has you under surveillance 24/7. Just like the smork theory. If you're thinking like criminals, then we have you under surveillance. Now we as Muslims, let's come to these theories. Let's see what Islam says. Does Islam add to these theories? Yes, Islam does add to these theories. These theories are based on what? Physical things. They bring 1,000 people into a university, they see how they react. They give them the possibility to cheat on an exam. 70% of the people under examination cheat. So now there's a study from Chicago University that says this is the nature of man. But Islam comes and says, no, there's more to it. There is a metaphysical form as well that scientists can't relate to today. But Islam says there's more to it. Go look at the words of Yusuf alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam, and may be peace on our Prophet. See what the Quran says through the words of Yusuf. Yusuf says, وَمَا أُبْرِئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. I have a beast within me. My nafs that tells me to commit and be a dishonest person. إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. Except of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my Lord, He is merciful upon me and helps me and guides me in a way that I am not dishonest with people, that I do not sin. Yusuf alayhi salam is locked in the dungeon of Zulaykha. There were 7 doors to her room, so no one could come in. She tells him to come in to do something. She locks all the 7 doors. She takes off all her clothes. Yusuf closes his eyes. He turns around. He doesn't even look. She tells him, what's wrong with you? There is no one here. The king isn't here. Ironically, she throws her dress on the statue that she worships. Yusuf tells her, why do you put your dress on the statue when this statue could not see? She has no response. He says, I am not looking and I will run from you because I have a Lord that sees everything. Al-Shahid, Al-Hakim. He sees everything. And we know the rest of the story. Yusuf runs out. She rips his shirt from behind. And that's how he gets out of trouble. But you see, some people, they make the wrong mistakes in the history of our Imams. Because they counted in a false manner. They didn't use a rational calculation. Imam Ali alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam says, النفس الأمارة المسولة تتملق تملق المنافق وتتصنع بمشيئة الصديق. Your nafs, it comes to you, seduces you, just like a hypocrite does. It'll come tell you, go ahead, steal, that's fine. No one's going to know. Go out with this person. No one's going to know. Her father won't know. Your father won't know. Nothing's going to happen. Cheat. Lie. Be dishonest. There's no one looking. Look down the street. There's nobody there. The store doesn't have surveillance cameras. Steal it. There is no fine. But the continuation of Amir al-Mu'mineen's hadith, and will come to you saying that it's a friend to you. I want your benefit. I want your benefit. Do this. Lie to people because you'll make more money. You'll make more money. You know the Mercedes that you wanted all your life? If you're dishonest, you could get it. The extra room in your house, it'll come to you with dishonesty. But then, it'll backstab you. Just like a hypocrite backstabs his companion. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Ali ibn Abu Hamza al-Bata'ini, a close companion to whom? Which one of our Imams? Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. He is the treasury of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far couldn't keep the wealth of the Shi'as in his house because they would come from the government, take everything, and the Shi'as will not have money to be supported with. So he keeps his wealth with Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini. Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini, his calculations were wrong. After the death of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, Imam tells him, when I pass away, the Imam goes to my son, Ali ibn Musa al-Rida. You give the 50,000 golden dinars to my son. What does Ali ibn al-Bata'ini do? He takes the 50,000 and he runs off. He runs off. To him, his nafs came and seduced him. 50,000 golden dinars. You'll live as a king. You live as a king. You don't have to give the money to Ali ibn Musa al-Rida. And what is the result? The aftermath of this action to Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini. Imam al-Rida is sitting with his companions and he says, La ilaha illallah. They tell him, what's wrong, O the son of Rasulullah? He says, now Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ini just passed away. They placed him into his grave. The angels that came to interrogate him whipped his grave in a manner that his grave will be a pit of fire till the day of judgment. He did not calculate rationally. Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam is married to a woman. He divorces her. This woman, she knows the money that Imam Zayn al-Abidin has that he gives to the needy. The world seduces her. She goes to the Hakim and she says, Ali ibn al-Hussein has taken my dowry. He's taken my money. He's taken my gold. Imam Zayn al-Abidin is summoned by the judge. The judge tells him, Oh, Ali ibn al-Hussein, swear that you don't owe her anything. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, no, I won't swear. The judge orders in her favor. The Imam goes and gives her her money. The companions come to Imam Zayn al-Abidin and they tell him, why didn't you swear? Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, you want me to swear for something financial? For a small amount of money, you want me to bring the name of Allah down to this level? No, I will never do this. My personal benefit with the name of Allah, today, everything, because people are so dishonest with each other. What's your name? My name's Ahmed, wallah. What do you drive? I drive a Honda, wallah. What did you eat today? I ate some salad, wallah. For everything. Why is it the Muslims, they have to swear in the name of God? In everything that they do, everything that they say. Because we are living dishonest lives. Why isn't it that we don't take from the Imams and learn from them? And we take from the lives of these people who made irrational mistakes and calculations in the time of the Imams? Why? Shouldn't we learn? We are the ones that say we are the companions of Musa ibn Ja'far. Shouldn't I know who made a mistake from his companions? We are the followers of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Shouldn't we know that his wife made a mistake? She lost this life and the hereafter. We are the followers of Imam al-Hasan. Don't we know that his wife made a mistake for golden dinars? She was dishonest. She lost this world and in the hereafter. Muawiyah did not let her marry Yazid, and she didn't get the 100,000 dinars. She lost a husband like Imam al-Hasan, and she lost this world as well and in the hereafter. She poisons Imam al-Hasan because she is seduced with 100,000, and to marry Yazid, she does not get Yazid, she poisons the grandson of Rasulullah. She loses both dunya and akhirah. Don't let shaitan fool you. For $10,000, you'll buy your akhirah. A person like Hamid bin Qurtuba, he is summoned by Harun. He tells him, Hamid, I will give you everything, but tell me your loyalty. What's your loyalty to me? He tells him, Oh Harun, my loyalty to you is my wealth. He tells him, go, I don't need you. After an hour, he goes and summons him again. He asks him, I will give you everything. I will make you into an amir, into a prince, but tell me what is your loyalty. He says, Mali wa ahli. He says, no use, get out of here. My wealth and my children, no use? Another hour passes by. Harun summons him. Hamid, what is your loyalty to me? He says, Mali wa ahli wa dini. He says, come with me. This is good. This is good. Your deen? Okay, I'll give you 300,000 golden dinars, but you're going to give me your deen? Brothers and sisters, is it worth that we sell our deens for simple mistakes? For simple mistakes. You won't die if you drive a car that's a little bit more humble. You won't die if you're not wearing Versace shoes. You won't die if your house is 4 bedrooms instead of 5 and a pool. But look at what happens to this person. Harun takes him into a prison. In this prison, there are 200 Sayyids from the sons of Fatima and Ali ibn Abi Talib. Some young, some middle age, and some with gray beards. He tells him, Hamid, since you sold me your religion, I want you to behead every single one of these Sayyids. He says, I beheaded them and I threw their bodies in the well in the middle of the prison. And I brought 200 heads of the sons of Fatima and Ali to Harun. This man, later in life, he's seen eating in Ramadan. They tell him, you're not Muslim. He says, who? Islam of who? Harun? I killed 200 sons of Ali and Fatima. You think I have a hereafter? Yes, Harun gave me a palace. He gave me a nice horse. He gave me mistresses. But who am I kidding now? I know what awaits me. I know what awaits me. Let's make rational decisions. Small mistakes, you will be held accountable for a very long time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's prepare. This is the new year. Even the Imams used to prepare with a supplication when Muharram would come around. The Imams would raise their hand. Raise your hand in dua with the Imams. Allahumma antal ilahul qadim. Oh Allah, you are the eternal Lord. وَهَذِهِ سَنَةٌ جَدِيدَةٌ. And this is a new year. My new year resolutions, what are they? فَأَسْأَلُكَ فِيهَا الْعِصْمَةُ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ. I ask you that you take shaitan away from me. His dishonesty, I don't want it in my life. His seductions, I don't want it in my life. وَالْقُوَّةَ عَلَى هَذِهِ النَّفْسَ الْأَمَّارَةِ بِالسُّوءِ. And I want you to help me to grab my soul and to wrestle it down. This is very important, brothers and sisters. That we can overcome our nafs. That we can overcome our nafs. Sometimes we don't notice that shaitan has come into our lives. There are 2 types of diseases in pathology. I'm sure we have doctors in this room. One which is noticed, and one that comes into your body without you even realizing. When you have a fever, it's very visible. When you have a flu, it's very visible. When you have a cold, it's very visible. But la samahallah, some diseases, they'll be hidden in your body for years, all of a sudden pop up, and you're close to your deathbed, like HIV. HIV is a disease, it could be in your body for several years. 10, 12 years, all of a sudden, come within days to destroy you. Same thing with shaitan. The hadith says that shaitan pumps through your blood without you even realizing. That's how close he comes to us. He fools us in ways that we don't even realize. So shouldn't we be alert of his ways? Shouldn't we be alert that he comes through this nafs al-ammarati bis-su'? أن الشيطان ليجري من ابن آدم مجرى الدم في العروق. Just like can a person today say, I felt my blood pumping today, it was amazing. Nobody could say this. Or can they say, I felt my heart blood, my heart pumped 53 gallons per minute? No, none of us could say this. Your blood is circulating through your body without you even realizing. Sometimes because we are so careless of dishonesty and simple sins, shaitan comes to us in a matter that we don't even realize. You find yourself like a feather in the middle of a windy day. You throw the feather, it goes 30, 40, 60 feet. One small sin, you wake up after a year, oh my God, what has happened to me? What has happened to me? It was because of a small sin. You didn't realize, but you let shaitan come and place a nest inside your soul. There's a mythical story, or the Romans used to think and believe of these Roman gods, correct? Their belief was when you think of this mythical God, when you think of the God of war, He'll come to you. You'll become much closer to Him. So when you think of the God of love, you'll be much closer to Him. Brothers and sisters, we as Muslims, we say once you start these irrational decisions, shaitan comes to you. Shaitan comes to you. There was an Israeli abid, an Israeli scholar in Bani Israel. He hears that shaitan has taken place in a tree and the people of his city are worshiping and bowing down to this tree. He goes to this tree with an axe. He's filled with anger. How are these people worshiping this tree? He wants to chop it down. Shaitan comes to him. He says, hold on. What are you doing? He says, what do you mean what I'm doing? He grabs the shaitan and he knocks him to the ground. Shaitan all bruised up. He tells him, look, just don't cut the tree down. You don't want to worship it. That's fine. But I'll give you 10 golden dinars every day if you let these people worship me. He says, 10 golden dinars every day? That's nice. He says, okay, I accept. A month passes by. He's had 10 every day. He wakes up after a month. He looks under his pillow. There's no 10 dinars. He grabs the axe. And he's so angry, he runs towards the tree. Before he comes to hit the tree, shaitan grabs him and he slams him and he grabs him in a chokehold, close to his death. He's astonished. How come the first time I wrestled you down to the ground, now this time you have wrestled me? He says, the first time your anger was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it's for yourself. It's for your nafs. It's for your nafs al-ammara. Your nafs al-amara has pushed you to come and wrestle me down this time. Don't you think that you're going to wrestle me down. Once you give him a simple mean to enter your life, that's it. That's when he starts destroying your foundations. He starts eating you like termite. without you even realizing. So what should we do as Muslims? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Asta'inu bis-sabri was-salah. Inna as-salata tanha 'anil fahsha'i." Yes, wal-munkar. We as Muslims, how many times is it that we sit and pray because we have a mistake? We fear that we will make a mistake. Shaitan is coming to me, telling me to make this dishonest act. Let me take my time to make wudu and pray 2 unit salah. A young man, his temptations are too high. The Quran says, "Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah." Sabr, fasting. Fast. See how much that helps you in society. When you're fasting, you're not going to be thinking of your desires. The Prophet says, what the fire extinguisher to the desires of the youth of my ummah is fasting. How many of us could say, I fast besides the day of Ramadan? You could fast as a Muslim outside Ramadan. But how many Muslims do we know that fast for this reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us? Ista'inu bis-sabri was-salah. Take them as a tool. Use them as a shield. Use your prayer as a shield. Your fasting as a shield, O Muslims. 2 billion Muslims. How many of you can say, I know a young man that fasts every Monday, Thursday, and Friday of the week? Or because he's tempted and seduced, he takes his time to pray 2 unit prayer and say, no, I will make the right decision. When Islam has given us every single ingredient, He has given us the antidote to every problem and solution in our lives. He's given us every single solution. A man, one time, Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum is invited to the city of Hilla. Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum is one of the greatest scholars that we've had in our time. And one of the scholars that met with Imam al-Mahdi alayhi afdal as-salatu was-salam, and several and numerous places. Now imagine, for example, Grand Ayatollah of the Shia Empire, the Shia Ummah today, comes and visits Edmonton. How many of you will want to host him in his house? Of course, every single one of you. There will be a fight between you guys. I have a bigger house. I could give more money. I could give more food. No, he's going to stay at my house. Exactly the same thing happened in Hilla. I could slaughter more sheep. My house could gather more people. Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi says, I already know whose house I will be staying in. They tell him who? He gives them a name. It's a name of a person who's not even in the gathering. They come back to him. They tell him, Sayyidina, he's not even here. He says, yes, but he's in the city of Hilla, and I want you to go look for him. They go for the rest of the day looking for this man. They find him. He's a simple butcher with a small house, probably a 2-bedroom house. They tell him, Sayyid, this man can't host you. First of all, not financially, and his home is very small. He tells them, yes, but I will stay at this man's house. For 6 to 7 days, Sayyid Muhammad Mahdi is looking at every single action this man does. Until the 7th day, he tells him, come here. I'm so confused. Have you done something in your life that you are proud of and no one knows besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Imam? He tells him, yes, Sayyidina. There is something that I have done in my life that nobody knows. Tells him, do you have a prayer? Do you have a dua? What do you have? He says, no, Sayyidina, nothing. It was just one decision, one rational decision that I made in my life. Tells him, tell me, share, please. He says, on the day of my wedding night, in traditional families in Iraq, I got married with a girl from a different family. Now I have entered the room of my wife for our wedding night. I see my wife, she's crying the whole time. She's crying and crying and crying. I tell her this is a happy day. She keeps crying. He tells her, please, tell me what's wrong. She tells him, I have a secret, but I am scared to tell you. He tells her, no, tell me. She says, if I tell you, I fear for my father's reputation, for my family's reputation. He tells her, it's okay. Tell me. She says, I did something before I married you that I was ashamed to tell my parents. If I had told my parents, my father would live in shame. My uncles would live in shame. In our culture, it's not acceptable. This man says, I became very disappointed. Why wasn't I told about this before time, ahead of time? Why is she telling me this now? He says, at that moment a feeling came to me. Every time, brothers and sisters, two feelings come to us when we have to make rational decisions. Either do the right thing or do the wrong thing. He says, I either thought to divorce her right now or to go pray 2 rak'at salat. Like the Quran says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. He says, I left the room, I made wudu, I prayed 2 rak'ats, and I felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has just showered my heart with His blessings and mercy. I went back to her, I told her, look, as of today, you have become the second half of my family. You are what completed me, and your secret is my secret. No one will know about this. No one will know about this. And I have living with this woman for the past 20 years. Nobody knew about this. Not my mother, not my father, not her mother. Nobody. I respected her secret. Imam Mahdi tells him, do you know why I chose your house amongst the thousands of homes in the city? He says, no, Sayyidina. He says, Imam Mahdi wrote to me that this person is the only person who is honorable enough for you to stay in his home. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We have to think rationally, brothers and sisters. And the way, very simple. Salah and Siyam. Salah and Siyam. Tame the beast within you. Tame the beast within you. If you have a lion in a cage, will you feed him flesh every moment? Or will you keep him hungry in a way that he can't even move anymore? Which one makes more sense? You give him food so he becomes more energetic, or you don't give him anything so he cannot move, he can't harm you. Aqil, the brother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he tells him, I need some money. You have the keys to Bayt al-Mal, give me some money, you're my brother. He tells him, I'll give you something, wait. He goes and he grabs a metal rod, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he places it in the fire until it becomes nice, red. He places the metal rod behind his back. He tells him, Aqil, put out your hand, let me give you. And he places the metal rod in the hands of his brother. Aqil starts to scream, you're burning me. Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, you want me to burn in the fires of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you can't even endure this small fire? You think I don't have control over my nafs? I will let it wrestle me down? No, Aqil, learn. Learn that nothing in this world, every action in this world has a reaction. Don't let the beast tame you. You tame the beast. Amir al-Mu'mineen, one day in the famous story where he sees this widow trying to carry buckets of water, he carries it for her. He goes, he helps her, he cooks with her. When he lights up the oven, what does Amir al-Mu'mineen do? He places his fire in the middle of the oven. He tells himself, O Ali ibn Abi Talib, tame your soul. Because if you can't take this fire, you won't be able to take the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. نار سجرها جبار السماوات والأرض. A fire that the Jabbar, the Almighty, has created. And a hadith that a drop of Jahannam, if one drop came to this planet, it will melt the whole planet. The whole planet will burn. Have you seen volcanoes, how they burn through things? This is nothing. This is cotton compared to the fires of Jahannam. The Imam says a drop of the fires of Jahannam, if it hits this planet, it will burn. All become ashes. We need to think rationally. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. The one who tames the beast, قد أفلح, he is victorious. وقد خاب من دساها. The one that lets his nafs, let shaitan come and seduce him and listen to him, قد خاب, he will be a loser on the day of judgment. He will be a loser in this life. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. Stand up for prayer. Show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are humble servants. قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى. You want to be victorious in this life? Tame the beast. Stand up for prayer. When you are not making rational decisions. Now, let's go to the camp of Imam Hussein. In the camp of Imam Hussein, some men made rational decisions. Some did not make rational decisions on the day of Ashura. For example, Hur stands. He says, from this side I see Jahannam, and from this side I see paradise. My soul is telling me you are standing in the middle now. You have a chance. You either choose between paradise or fire. Make a rational decision. Small amounts of dishonesty now, they won't help you. Make a rational decision. He goes to Imam Hussein. Some people made irrational decisions. It is narrated, some historians say that Yazid told an amount of people and soldiers and militiamen from the land of Ray to come join on the 10th of Ashura. They came late. They came late for the bounties to be shared. They saw there is nothing there. There's 70 heads. This is not what Yazid told us. They march from Karbala all the way to Sham. What does he give them? 1 golden dinar each. 1 golden dinar each. They earn Jahannam. They earn Jahannam. La ilaha illallah. One small mistake. One small mistake. Don't take things lightly. They pile up. They pile up. And you see, even young men like Qasim alayhi salam, a rational decision to him is that I spill my blood in the honor of Hussein is sweeter than honey. It's sweeter than honey. It's sweeter than honey. One act can either earn me paradise or earn me pits of fire. It is narrated that on the 10th of Ashura, Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan saw his cousins all go and fight for the sake of Islam. Also, he had 2 other brothers. And the incident of Karbala, they went and they became shaheeds and martyrs. He goes to his mother. He tells her, "Oh mother, my uncle Hussein won't let me go and fight. He says, "O Qasim, you are the remains of my brother Hassan. Every time I want to remember my brother, I look at you, O Qasim. It is not fair that I take you away from your mother, Ramla." Al-Qasim goes to his mother's tent. He starts to cry. He tells her, "Oh, mother, my uncle won't let me go and fight." She tells him, "Oh, my son Qasim, you know the message on your arm, that thing that you have attached to your arm for these years. Open it. Your father told me to tell you this when it was this day, when we stood on the sand dunes of Karbala." He opens it. He sees that his father says to him, "Oh, my son Qasim, if it comes to the day that you hear your uncle say, هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من ذاب يذب على حرم رسول الله. Is there anyone to aid me? Is there one to protect the daughters of Rasulullah? Oh, my son, be generous with your blood. Oh, my son Qasim, as much as your uncle says no, kiss his hands, kiss his feet until he accepts." Qasim goes to his uncle. He shows him the message from his brother. Imam Hussein starts to cry, and he says, "Now I remember when my brother sat in front of the bucket, when he was coughing his intestines, he would tell me, 'Oh Hussein, let me be proud with my son Al-Qasim.'" Some narratives say that Imam Hussein grabbed the hands of Al-Qasim. He went to the ladies' tents. He told them, "Bring my daughter Sukaina. I want to marry my son to my brother's daughter." Sukaina comes, "Yes, my father, you have called me." He says he placed the hands of Al-Qasim in her hands, and he married them off. He told him, "Oh, my son Al-Qasim, now you have become a groom. Ladies, leave the tents of Al-Qasim and Sukaina." They leave. Al-Qasim is sitting next to his wife. She tells him, "Oh, the son of Al-Hassan, Yabna Ammi, why is it that I see you shedding tears? This is a happy moment." He tells her, "How can I smile when your father is standing outside saying, 'Hal min nasirin yansuni?' How can I smile when there is no one protect your father, Hussein?" He stands up. He says, "Don't you hear the enemies calling? Don't you hear your father calling? I must go." The women come back into the tents. They say, "Qasim, you are a new bride." Sukaina comes to him. She tells him, "How will I remember you if I cannot be your wife in this world? I want to be your wife in the hereafter. How will I know you?" They say he ripped off from his shirt and he gave it to Sukaina, and he told her, "This is how you will know me on the day of judgment. By my shirt." The ladies start to cry. His mother Rabab starts to cry. Imam Hussein hears the cries from the ladies' tents. He comes to the ladies' tents and he tells him, "Oh, my son, are you ready?" He tells, "Yes, my uncle, death is sweeter than honey to me, oh my uncle." He tells his mother Rabab, "Rabab, are there remains of his father? Did his father leave anything behind for him?" She says, "Yes, he left a box for him." He says, "Go bring it." He opens the box, the treasure box. It's the amama, the turban of Imam al-Hassan. He tells him, come here, my son. He places the turban of Imam al-Hassan on him. The sword of Imam al-Hassan. The armor of Imam al-Hassan. And he tells him, now, my son, are you ready? He says, yes, my uncle, I am ready. Al-Qasim gets up. He starts to march towards the battlefield. He goes towards the enemies. He says, إن تنكروني فأنا نجل الحسن سبط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن. I am the son of Rasulullah. I am the son of Mustafa. I am the son of Al-Mu'taman. And you people have held Hussein as a hostage. It is said that Al-Qasim went towards Umar ibn Sa'd and he told him, oh Umar ibn Sa'd, don't you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His punishment? He says, no, we will not give you refuge. We will not stop until the head of Hussein is placed on a spear and Zainab is taken as a captive. Al-Qasim starts to fight. A man comes to him and hits him straight on his head. Al-Qasim falls to the ground. He screams, Adrikni ya Amma, ya Aba Abdullah. Come to me, my uncle. It is said that Imam Hussein rushed to him like a lion. He removed the enemies from his body. They say this was one of the most sorrowful moments on the day of Ashura. His uncle carried him while his feet would drag onto the sand dunes. He came and placed him between his cousins. جابوا مدد ما بين أخوته بتشاعدهم وهم موته وبس من سمع عن النسوان صوته اجت رملة تصيح الله أكبر. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. يا حسين